So after 20 years, I guess he didn't learn his lesson because he decided to wander again, and he came across the beautiful Delilah. And,
wait.
Okay.
Pause. Rewind. Before he met Delilah.
Okay.
He saw this, let me see exactly how they say it in the scripture. All right, so in Judges 16, it says, one day Samson went to Gaza where he saw a prostitute. He went in to spend the night with her. Sometime later, he fell in love with a woman in the valley of Sorek whose name was Delilah. So that is why, because it doesn't come right out and say Delilah was a prostitute. Right. But because she was associated with the person that he just spent the night with, you would put 2 and 2 together. And I read something else today that said, you know, like if she was in these times, she would probably have been like a high-end escort.
Oh, really?
I did read that today.
She makes me think of Erica Kane in General Hospital.
I've never seen General Hospital.
She makes me think of that.
Maybe I should watch that now.
She's kind of about money and power and control.
Things you can do to get those things.
And today I was hearing people talk about the show Scandal.
I haven't seen that one either.
Well, it sounds like this story all over. I'm gonna have to watch it.
I'm gonna have to watch it. I love when things come together and, you know, they make sense. Yes.
So he goes to see Delilah. He starts secretly meeting up with Delilah. And it becomes kind of like the National Enquirer event. Everybody wants to know. And these 5 kings offered her money to find out what his strength was and how to control him. So the love games begin. And every night, Delilah would be like, oh, Samson, how can I control your strength? And the first night, he said, well, if you tie me up with thongs, you could probably control my strength. Now, thongs weren't the same thing.
I know, right? I was about to say, let's elaborate on that one.
It was something they used to tie up prisoners, I think, in war, maybe.
Yeah. It's almost like leather strips.
Oh,
almost. Okay. I mean, like even sandals, flip-flops, in some instances are called thongs because of the leather strip that goes up between it.
But it's not what you would think of.
Yeah, it's not like a,
Well, so she did it. She tied him up with the thongs, and she called in the Philistines, and guess what? He broke free.
Hello.
Well, he didn't fall too easily the first time. So she tried it again. Samson, oh, Samson, please tell me, how can I control your strength? And he said, well, you could probably tie me up a rope. Sounds like just some love games to me because he... What do you think? Well,
my face is so red right
she
now.
called in the Philistines, and well, you probably made mine turn red. And guess what? He broke free. The rope didn't do it either. And so she says, Samson, please tell me. Please tell me. He says, well, braid my hair on a loom and put a pin in the end. Well, back then, the looms were on the beams in the ceiling. And she did that. And she called in the Philistines. He broke free. And she goes, all right now. And she threw her a hissy fit. She said, you have torn up my loom and my house, and I'm tired of playing these games. If you love me, if you really love me, you'll tell me. And he goes, well, if you cut my hair. He gave in.
Like, really?
After all those times the Philistines came in, you'd think he would have known better. But guess what? They came in, and he was naked and afraid. Naked, maybe I should say. Naked and afraid and bald.
Naked and afraid and bald. Man.
And you know what they did to him?
Yes.
Gouged out his eyes.
They did.
They gouged out his eyes, and they took him away. They kind of shackled him up and took him away. And guess who they took with them? Miss Delilah. She didn't get anything, probably.
Probably not.
And they put him in prison in Gaza.
And they made him work on a grindstone, so he was grinding grain all day.
That was sad.
But while he was in prison, like, do you know how long he was in prison?
I don't know.
Well, I don't either, but he was in prison long enough for his hair to start growing back out, but they weren't paying attention to it. So that is why ultimately whenever they had that parade and, you know, tied him up, that is why he ultimately could, you know, get the strength back, because his hair was growing back out.
Really? Because
Yes.
I thought they shaved him and he prayed to God.
But, well, yeah, of course he prayed to God, but
Yeah. You might be right.
Hold on, I gotta find this again. All right, so it says, as he slaved at grinding grain, his hair began to grow, but the careless Philistines paid no attention. And in spite of his horrible failures and sins of great consequence, Samson's heart now turned to the Lord. He was humbled, he prayed to God first, and God answered.
I'm so glad he prayed, and I'm so glad they didn't notice his hair. And they were kind of foolish too.
Obviously. And I also read something where they said that they didn't know if Delilah was a Philistine or not. But one of the other things that I read today said that he had to, obviously, with the whole tell me how to control your strength, he had to explain to her the Nazarite, is that Nazarite?
Mm-hmm.
The Nazarite,
Which means separated one.
separated one, had to explain to her what that meant and why
He had those vows.
why he had the vows and why he couldn't shave his hair is because he was a Nazarite. So if she was not a Philistine and she was, you know, one of his kind of people, you would assume that she would know what that was. So that is, whenever I read that today, I was like, huh, you know, I guess you're probably right, she was a Philistine.
Seems like she was just the devil.
Yeah.
So anyway, he prayed to God, and he pulled down the pillar and in the prison, and it collapsed, and more people than he ever killed alive died.
Yep. And so did he, of course. But that was a sacrifice that, like, his whole life had been building up to that, him finally getting back under the will of God and doing what his original purpose was. So I thought that was pretty cool.
It was a good story.
It really was. And I mean, I know there have been things or times in my life where I know the right thing to do and I know the right way to live, but I've like, but you know, I've not horrible things have happened to me, but I've had some pretty messed up stuff happen in my life. And
did you think it was a weakness? Or it caused a weakness?
I think that I think it was a weakness. Some of the weaknesses that I had were where I got myself in trouble because I would get myself into situations that I felt like I couldn't get out of.
Right.
And because I wasn't in the will of God doing what I knew I should do, I wasn't reading my Bible. I mean, I was still going to church, but you can go to church and not be living right. But whenever...
And it's more than just one day.
Exactly. But whenever I knew that I was out of the will of God, it felt like everything was happening and I had no control over it. And then I was like, you know what, I don't want to live like that. So whenever I started being who I'm supposed to be and who God has created me to be, I have seen so many more things in my life, like, you know, line up and just, you know, everything starts working out exactly as it's supposed to. And the things that don't work out, I have so much peace about it because I know that I'm in the will of God and I know that He has everything under control. So that is so very calming to know whenever you've been somewhere that you didn't want to be, that you can come back.
And that you can count on God. Like today, I talked about in my blog on hisperfecttiming.blog that everybody has weaknesses, and sometimes they can cause a physical reaction.
Yeah.
You can just be so afraid of having another one that you have a panic attack. And and whenever you can trust God or see other people fighting the same battle, it gives you the strength. So even if you have a horrible weakness and you're so embarrassed by it, you're probably helping somebody that you don't even know. And you can turn that weakness into a strength.
Yeah, you can, definitely.
So I'm glad for that.
I'm glad for that.
God bless you and praise God.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Because I don't think, never mind. Never mind.
I'd hate to think I had to do it by myself.
I'd hate to think that I had to stay where I was.
And you don't.
I don't, and neither do you.
No.
You don't have to stay.
I think that about wraps it up for today's.
Well, that was really fun and informative, and I actually knew some things that she didn't, which made me feel so good.
It made me feel good too.
That's awesome. I'm so glad that we're doing this.
Me too.
I really am.
It's exciting.
It is.
And we learn things along the way.
Exactly. And how everything relates to real life. Because, I mean, you can just pick up the Bible and read a Bible story and then put it back down and it not mean anything to you because it doesn't relate.
That's right.
So I really enjoy doing this because it's like real life stuff. And it's awesome.
It is.
That's
It's
great.
hard to believe sometimes that these things happen, but they did.
Mm-hmm.
And still happen today.
They do happen today.
Miracles are everywhere around us.
Mm-hmm. I'm about to be growing a miracle.
You are?
I'm about to be.
Well, that's wonderful.
I'm claiming that mess.
I am too. I'm going to be its grandmother.
Aww. Yes, and
If
you can
you're-
babysit it too.
I will. I'll be glad to. I love being a grandmother.
Oh, that's precious. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and make sure you share our channel so other people can see this, because if it didn't help you, it can help somebody else. So make sure you share it and like it, and follow her blog, which is hisperfecttiming.blog, and follow my TTC YouTube channel, which is my name, Kelsey Escoriaza, and we will see you guys soon.
And let us know what if you have future episodes you'd like to see, and let us know what your weaknesses and strengths are and what you think Samson should have done differently.
Yes, let us know some stories you want us to address, because this isn't just about us, this is about you guys. Okay?
Bye.
Bye.